When did you find out that images play an important role in your life?
When I fell into a lake when I was 6 years old. And I fell to the bottom and I saw probably the most beautiful world I've ever seen. And it was colorful and there was light and these plants were moving. I mean, I see it regularly. I see it constantly almost in my mind, in my mind's eye.
The current endeavor that I've been obsessing with is diving through Europe. I thought a little more about the rivers in Europe and I realized, oh man, this is really interesting. This is a real strength of Europe. There is this immense density of civilization here. I mean, really layer upon layer of history of civilization, and a lot of it is history of violence, but then you also have stories of fables and sagas, legends, beliefs of what happens underneath the river surface.
I filmed throughout one summer, from June till late August, always on the same spot, sometimes daytime, sometimes nighttime, rain, sunshine, wind, fog, everything. And it's all the time me going into the water and then returning. The same thing over and over again. So it's all the time the same and it's never the same.
What's happening now is that we see water sort of coming in under a door very slowly, in a very mild way, and slowly sort of water sort of filling up the McDonald's restaurant. Not in a dramatic way, but it's kind of slowly coming in.
When you wade into this dark fluid, a kind of milk without nurture, you disappear. Disappearance. That's why suicides are attracted to it. It's also why children fear it. It's a soft entrance to simply not being here. When I imagine the river, it's something I can enter, something that will surround me, take me away from here. But then the pain of it is less imaginable too, less than violence or chemistry.
You know, the water is something we drink every day, but not consciously. So it's very simple. It's like wine glass. It's not my choice, but that's where it is. And what you have to do is hold the glass in your hand and close your eyes and just feel it, the coldness and wetness of the glass itself.
More than 70% of the surface of the earth is covered by water, and that most of the cities that we live in today, the large cities, and we've found out that nearly 70% of those are also covered by, are also located by water. So invariably, the relationship between water and the city, and water and people, are important.
But I was always doing something with water. And I think also video itself, I remember writing in my notebook once, it's like a kind of electronic water, you know, it's flowing. Electrons flow in circuits. Right now, this camera here is filled with electrical currents, and it can be measured the way you measure, you know, plumbing in your house in water. It's a fluid.
The water for me is interesting because it flows. I mean, obviously it has a narrative because it's about a landscape and there is water and so on and so forth, but it's also about, if the water had not been there, it would have been incredibly, how should I say, static. So within this, let's say, silent landscape, there is that one element of something moving through it, and I'm not really sure whether the water is coming or leaving, but it is for sure moving. So there's not a goal. Also, you enter the exhibition at the end of the water, and you so to speak walk upstream. You walk against the water, and you could choose to interpret this in various ways, or you could also just experience it without verbalizing it. But I think it's quite interesting, for me at least, that the feeling that there might have been more water, in the rest of the room, or that the water somehow indicates that, the rest of the landscape would also at some point have been underwater, or might again be soon underwater.
I'm very interested in reflections, like mirrors or surfaces that are mirroring. It can be a mirror like here, or it can be a lake, surface of a lake that's like a mirror. I just find them, it's visually very intriguing that you actually get a double. And then also I think like to compose with that kind of double, it's interesting.
Black and water are twin elements. It's a mistake to believe black is merely an adjective. What do you know about water? When you talk about water, what is it you're really talking about? What do you know about water? When you talk about water, aren't you really talking about yourself? Isn't water like the weather that way? What do you know about water? Isn't that part of what water is, that you never really know what it is?
I mean, there are challenges. Of course, water is a much more unstable, form to inhabit. At the same time, it allows a much more fluid ground condition in technical terms. It's a much more mobile ground condition, which you can harness. It's a constantly changing ecological condition, so it has its own life cycle. And so on one hand, it's a place where you have to be careful ecologically. On the other hand, it's also a place where you can explore the opportunities that it provides, because it is really a habitat where you can produce other kinds of, there's aquaculture, there's a whole life in water, and there's a whole economy around water.
So the principle is, you can take a little sip of the water, feel the coldness, wetness, feel how the water goes into your mouth, goes into your body, nourishing cells, and drink this glass 30 minutes and nothing else. That's it.